Hey everybody, this is Tom at Talent Guitar Works, and we got I think this is part 4 or 5 on this guitar. Now, this is the SDGR from Minnesota that I had to put the 2 carbon fiber truss rods in, or 2 carbon fiber rods in, along with the new truss rod. And we could never figure out what happened to this, why this neck twisted and humped and did everything else. Because there was a twist from the treble side toward the bass side, there was a hump around 6th to the 9th fret, and it was just a mess. So I popped that fretboard off, I clamped the guitar down, I did these in videos, and I routed the 2 channels for the carbon fiber rods on either side of the truss rod. Now I knew that I was correct on the twist because the left side or bass side went in easy, popped right in. On the treble side, I started putting that rod in, and right around the 10th, 9th fret, it started to bind just a little bit where it didn't want to slide straight in. So I quasi-clamped the neck, gave it a little twist, and it popped right in, which means it's going to keep that neck nice and straight. Now, it's also going to add some counter force to the truss rod and make it a little more accurate, if you will, because the truss rod isn't controlling everything. It's got pressure going back against it. So I glued it back up, and I found out one of the mysteries. And if you're going to be a guitar repair guy, you have to be a detective, and you have to look for things that other people don't. You hear hoofbeats, you better think zebras too, because it may not be horses. So this guitar neck was supposed to be a 12-inch radius, and it was 10. When I clamped the guitar fretboard to the neck, I had used my diagonal pins, which are 16 nails going through the slot of the 1st fret on the bass side and going through the slot of the 19th fret on the treble side, as alignment pins to make sure everything is going to line up perfect on the guitar. Right, the neck and the fretboard are going to mate together, and I'm not going to have to do any shaving, sanding, or anything else. Just clean a little glue off. Well, that's what I thought was going to happen. And I put the guitar in the cauls and clamped it together with the glue and started pressing out some glue and got good glue press out and everything, and was cleaning that off and kept tightening up my clamps on the cauls, and things went wonderfully well. And this morning I came out and I took the guitar out of the clamps and out of the cauls, and there was about a 32nd of an inch of fretboard overhanging both sides of the neck. So now my theory, and this is just a theory, is that one of 3 things happened at the factory. One is they used a worn out caul that didn't correctly clamp the fretboard down. 2 is they used the wrong caul that allowed the fretboard to dome in the jig. And 3 is they didn't use the correct amount of pressure, and it allowed that fretboard to dome off of the guitar neck. So basically it was supposed to look like this, and it kind of domed up. Now once it domed up, it didn't have a lot of contact in the center. So that allowed the neck to twist or relax in that direction, because it's a 3-piece neck, laminated neck, and those pieces should be fighting against each other to keep it from twisting when the wood wants to relax. Now the fretboard should just be one more laminated piece that's protecting it from that. But with the fretboard being domed, it was just enough to allow it to get the twist and the hump and everything else. And I really couldn't understand how it got by, but it did. So I shaved it down on both sides of my thumb plane. It's looking really nice now. I'm going to clean out the fret slots. I've already dyed the back, and you notice you can still see all the mint marks on there, the maker's marks. And I dyed it with Angelus dye. And this is what Angelus dye looks like, so you can copy that down. I used the mahogany. I've got about 12 to 14 different colors of this. And I got turned on to this by Big D's guitar channel. And Big D's did a lot of stuff with flame maple tops that I learned. And there are a ton of great luthiers on YouTube that you can go to and get great information from. And he's one of them. And I never got a chance to thank him, but Big D, thank you for showing me these. And I think I'm still subscribed to the channel. I should probably put a comment or something. Anyway, So now that that's done, we're gonna clean the fret slots out. We're gonna put the frets in it tomorrow. I got a text going out to Rick, finding out what he wants as a finish on the back, if he wants it au natural, or if he wants a rattle can gloss finish on there for lacquer, or if he wants me to true oil it. Any and all of the above are possible. Some guys don't like it. They say if it's glossed over, it's sticky. They can't move their hands fast enough. I don't know. It's up to them. It's all up to the guitar player. So he's probably going to have this back by the end of this week and the beginning of next week, which is really cool. Now we've got a bunch of jigs and parts and tools coming in that I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to be showing those on the channel. I also have a guy who's interested in the Indonesian telly, and I was taking it apart to put towers in it when he called, and I said, well, you could put whatever you want in it. How do you want me to wire it? It's one volume, one tone, and a two-way toggle switch. So if he wants split coils, now's the time to tell me. If he wants different pickups, now would be a good time to tell me too. Right now it's got the Ken Armstrong classic or vintage 12s in there, and they're amazing pickups. I really like those. So I'll keep you posted on that. And remember, only half my ideas are any good. You got to decide which half. All right, everybody, I'm back, and I got this baby today in the mail, and this is the J. Edwards Fractal Fret Press, and I got it from StuMac. They're the only ones that carry this thing now. They bought J. Edwards out, and Jeremy Edwards is a luthier who designed this floating caul design to press frets in for multi-radius, compound radius guitars, conical radius, whatever you want to call it. So it will actually, each shoe adapts to the fret wire and presses it in place easily. Now, I had to text my buddy Matt at Texas Toast, because this came in the package, and I was like, what's with the carbon fiber chopsticks, Matt? Matt was like, I don't know. So then I went on JB's old website, and it said it was for use with the StuMac Jaws 2 and keeps the caul aligned or straight while you're pressing frets. But then when I looked in the video, I said, you know, I could use this on my standard arbor press the same way. So I just put it on, and then Matt asked, well, if you knew, why'd you ask me? I said, I didn't know until after. So it's kind of funny, but it's a really cool design. So what I've done so far is I've taken my fret saw and I've cleaned out the fret slots on this neck and made sure there's no obstructions, no sawdust, no glue, none of that stuff in the slots. Then I went and took that most important fretting tool from StuMac, and also the cheapest that they have, and this is the fret slot depth gauge. So I'm going to turn it to 10 to 12 or 10 to 14, and all I have to do is slide it in the fret slot, make sure there's nothing in there, and then if I look at the front of it, and I just dropped it out, and see that that line is below the fretboard, I have the correct depth for my fret tang. So the tang is this part of the fret down here with the little ripples in it. Then you've got the crown and you've got the width. So what I'm going to use is my StuMac nippers, and these are the ones that will do both stainless and the regular fret wire. And this is the nickel silver fret wire, and I want to say this is 154. I'll get that number right. And all I'm going to do is take just a little piece off. So now that fret wire, that tang, is never going to come out the end of the fretboard. So now if I move my fretboard over or lift it up, I could set this here, get it close to the end of the fretboard, cut my wire, flush on this side, and just keep repeating the process all the way down. Now I'm only doing one side of this at a time like that, but I could also pull these fret wires out and put them in the numbered slots and a little piece of 2x4 or 2x6 that I cut. And I'm going to put the cut side of the fret wire down because I know I'm going to have to trim the other end when I come back. And I could just keep going down the entire fretboard like this. Now, a lot of people wig out over refrets and how long it's going to take you, and oh my God, it's so much work. I got to tell you, with experience comes confidence. With confidence comes, I don't want to say speed, but efficiency would be a better word. So the more you do this stuff, the more efficient you become at it, and you're just not wasting a lot of time doing different stuff that you think you need to be doing when you really don't, if that made sense. All right, so I got 4 wires cut already. I've already radiused my fret wire, and I've showed you how I do that in my, it looks like a can opener kind of contraption. So we're going to go down to the 5th fret on this one. And I cut, or I radiused, I should say, I didn't cut, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 complete sticks of fret wire. I call them sticks, you call them whatever you want. They come in a big tube from StuMac. But it usually takes a lot more than 1 stick to complete it. So now we're going to 7, so we should be right here. And I leave just a hair hanging over the far side, so I don't have to trim a whole lot. And later on in the fret job, we'll get to all that stuff. But I'm going to go through this real quick, and then we're going to stop. And I'm going to go over to the arbor press and put the new J.B. Edwards StuMac Fractal fret call in my arbor press. And we're going to see how that goes. I have no doubt it's going to be good. I know I'm kind of behind the scenes here and behind the times because a few of my buddies have already done videos on this stuff. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. There. And they've already released it. Now, I was waiting because there was also a Chinese version put out. And I really, I'm not into it when they copy somebody's stuff and say, oh, yeah, well, this one we're selling on Temu is just as good. I'll buy the U.S. version first. And I heard from a few friends who bought the Temu version that it broke on them. So, buyer beware. Now, I waited until they had this designed where it would fit into my call. And beware if you're also watching the StuMac video that says you can use your drill press as an arbor press. You can if your drill press table is cast iron. If it's not, don't do it. And 11, there we go. I talk and I forget where I'm at space-wise. And we're on the 2nd stick at the 12th fret, so that should tell you why I radius the 2 sticks. And you always want to radius the sticks a little bit tighter than the radius of the fretboard. That gives them a little spring when you're putting them in. And I just think it makes it a little bit easier. All right, so I got 12 down now. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12 to go. 24 fret number. So I'm going to stop the video here because, well, I'll tell you what, I'm not. I'm just going to keep going because you guys like these little task things we do and think it's cool to watch, so I get it. 13th. Now I mentioned in my other videos that these cutters I'm using are flat ground at the top. So there's no indent on either side on the teeth, so it's getting a flush cut whenever I'm using them. And that's the difference. A lot of people say, what's the difference between what you're using and what these other guys have? 12, 13, 14. And that's it. There's a bevel on some of those faces of the cutter. And if you got a bevel there, it's going to change where your cut is. You're not getting a flush cut then. Okay. 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm probably going to have to bend part of another stick to finish this up. And that's just the nature of the beast because this fretboard is for a 5-string bass. And 13, 14, 15, 16. And a 5-string bass is a lot wider. And I did mention some of the Ibanez necks, they like to make wide necks so they could use them on their guitars for either 6 or 7-string models. They just don't have to switch out. They can make them both the same width, and that's it. All right, so we got 16. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I need somebody holding the placard to tell me the next one is 18. Now I've got 6 more frets to go. And you see how fast this work is going. And it's not that I'm speeding through it. 18, 19. It's just that I've done this so many times. There aren't a lot of pitfalls in here that I haven't, worked my way around or know when to avoid them. And the biggest pitfall, like I said, is not having your fretboard radius correctly. And that's that foundation thing. You don't build a house on a bad foundation. You don't try and get level frets in an unlevel fretboard. And that one's not going to make it. So I'm going to stop the video here. I've got 4 more frets to cut, and I've got to bend 1 more piece of fret wire. Okay, I'm back, and I've got my last stick of fret wire radiused, and I'm ready to go with these last 4 frets. And I did something to this stick because you always wind up with leftovers, and what I did was marked it. This is fret wire 141, so if I do another guitar with 141 and it's a 12 radius, I'm going to use that last little piece of fret wire to get the job done. Okay, so the last piece. There's probably a guy up in Minnesota watching this and going, hurry up. Rick's not like that. All right, so I'm done with that. Now I'm going to go back through and I'm going to pull each one of these and I'm going to cut this leading edge and just put it back in the slot. So what did that take me? About 15 minutes to cut all the fret wire after radiusing it for this 24 fret bass neck. And coming back and cutting the opposite end of the tang. Now, I haven't used the Fractal yet, so we're going to find out together how well the Fractal works on the other end of this video. And like I said before, if you are going to use a Fractal or any fret call in your drill press, make sure you have the table supported and level, and that knuckle is supported, because I blew the knuckle out. It was pop metal on my Shop Fox radial drill press, trying to use that. I can use my drill press as a fret press method. Yeah, that didn't go so well for me. It cost me about $130 plus shipping. And we had an arbor press on the way the next day, so. I get it though. There are guys that are trying to use small shop spaces to do all their work. That's cool. Everybody starts out that way in some form or another. You know, right now I'm really enjoying my workflow and my workspace here because I have a lot more room. I get a lot more stuff done. There are some benches that are dedicated just for certain operations, and I can leave stuff set up there. I don't have to drag my arbor press out and set it up. I don't have to go find where's my radius tool and bring that out and set that up. It's all attached to that one bench. It's ready to go. And it really cuts down on the amount of time. Okay. Almost down to the home stretch here. So it's going to take about the same amount of time that you see me cutting and trimming these tangs with the nippers to put all 24 of these frets in this neck. And the key is, again, you know, the preparation work before it, that the fretboard is radiused correctly, that the fret slots are free of debris and sawdust and anything else, glue maybe. And you can get that arbor press in there working, and it goes really quickly. Now once they're pressed in, I'll go back and trim the ends of the fret wire. And then we'll start finishing the frets, filing the ends down, then sanding them with the sanding beam so there are no sharp ends, so they pass that Phil McKnight pantyhose test. All right, we'll be back later on or tomorrow morning, depends on what's in store for me when I go back in my house, but it's getting late. It's already after dinner. I have to go over to a friend's house. So I've got all the fret wires in my block, all set up, and I just did a diagonal for the last 3 frets, so I know that this is number 1 on this side. It's also going to be the shortest fret. I've got this cleared. I already used my Stumac tool to make sure that every one of the fret slots is the correct depth. If it wasn't, I cleared it with my fret saw, my little fret saw, and we're ready to go and get this thing rocking. And we're going to try and get this out of here Wednesday morning or Thursday morning at the latest. All right, so here's the arbor press. I'm going to start out with fret number 1. I don't know how many I'm going to get done tonight, but you could start out by tapping these fret wires in. Now on this neck, I am not going to start out using super glue. And most of the time, I don't use super glue. A lot of guys do. My argument with that is there have been a lot of frets done over the years, way before super glue was invented. So now, I didn't have to exert a lot of pressure on that first fret, and it's seated really well. And that's the whole design about this articulating fractal jig, is that it's going to put pressure on all the fret wire equally, and man, that was a joy right there. Yeah, this is a lot easier to put in. And I'm already on the 3rd fret, right? What's it been, 2 minutes? You know, so when these guys talk to you about, oh, refret, well, it's going to take me a month to do, you're in the wrong shop, I'm telling you. You know, this guitar has been here for a little bit, but it also had some issues we didn't know about. I had to order parts I didn't have, and I had to order kind of wild the carbon fiber rods for this because of the thinness of the neck. Remember, this is a wizard style neck on this. I couldn't use the standard carbon fiber rod that I normally use. It would be a little too proud, a little too tall, and then we could have had a skunk stripe on the back of the guitar neck. All right, first 4 in, and they went in like a breeze. I'm giving the Fractal right now, let's say 4 stars. And people are whining online. They're going, why would you buy that? It's over $200. It's almost $300. Well, I talked about workflow before. Anything that makes the job go faster has a dual purpose in the shop. 1, it saves me time, and 2, it saves the customer money. And the way the economy is, people like saving money, believe it or not. So I also noticed I do not have to have, with the width of these Fractal feet, I don't have to have this thing lined up exactly like I did with the old calls that are, you see how wide they are, right? You had to get that groove exact and right on to set that fret. With these feet and the articulation and the way it's set up and engineered, Jeremy did a great job. I think these things are awesome. And I got it, 1, for the necessity of, if I do any conical or, you know, multi-scale stuff, anything like that, that's going to be changing fretboard radius as it goes, I could use it. I don't need to be changing calls in the middle of a fret job or guessing, should I use this one or this one on this fret. This will just adapt all of those. Now, do I do a lot of those? No, but I also saw where this is going to make the effort a lot less as far as my energy, how much pressure I have to use to get these frets to seat. I'm already seeing that. I usually pull down pretty hard on a standard call, and on this I'm just nudging it a little bit, and it's going right in. We haven't had one skip. We haven't had one lay on its side yet. I haven't had to preset one with the hammer yet and make sure it goes in or come back and get super glue for it. So everything is going really quick. And I want to say we're probably about 7 minutes into the video, and I'm approaching the 12th fret. So, like I said, we're going to be doing some really cool videos in the future. I don't want to give them all away. And I was hoping before I released that last video that this was going to arrive. And as it goes, I sent it to publish on YouTube And I heard the truck pull up out front, and I was like, well, I probably could have waited a little bit. Get it where I could see it. If I'm doing it by braille, it takes longer. So I'm guessing this fractal is going to stay in this call, and it's going to be the primary go-to, and I'll just have the other fret calls as a backup. And I haven't had to use the straightener yet. This little thing right here. It seems to be coming up and down perfect. I did have to take the little gray plastic board off that's normally on this arbor press, because thickness of the neck, the distance, and right now I'm going to have to put it back on to finish up, because we're getting back into the heel area of the guitar, and it doesn't take a whole lot to take it on or off, so just like that. Yep, I'm digging this. And you know, I saw where on my buddy's page, Texas Toast, a guy was kind of dinging him about saying what he thought about this fractal press. And I don't think the guy gets it. He was like, well, a lot of us luthiers don't use that stuff. And it's like, all right, first off, if you're running a shop and you're doing business out of that shop and you're trying to save your customers money and save yourself time, something like this, you know, with what most of these guys charge is like, okay, 1 or 2 refrets and it'll be paid for. You know, I still charge by the hour, and my customers like that. It kind of inspires me, and it gets guitars out there playing, and as we all know that all these musicians have endless amounts of money to spend. So here we go. I've got 4 wires left to put in. I don't think this video is 20 minutes total. And I do like the fact I could just slide this thing back and forth and get these extra wide ones seated good. 4 left to go. And like I said before, slow is fast, fast is smooth. All you're trying to do is get the task completed. It's not rocket science. You don't have to recalibrate devices after every time you press a fret in. And we're going to be done with a refret minus the finishing touches. Whole video, I don't think it's going to take 30 minutes, right? So, like I say all the time, you either know how to do it or you don't. It's just that simple. And here we go, number 24. So you just watched me put 24 frets in this bass guitar neck with the Fractal, and I didn't rush. I am sweating, but that's just me. But they're done. All I've got to do now is trim these edges, and then I'll start the finishing process on the frets. And what I'm going to do tonight, as I always do, is I'm going to leave it sit. I see that they're all seated well and they look good. I'm going to leave it sit overnight, but I'm going to turn the truss rod a quarter turn to see if it causes any of them to pop. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to turn it a half a turn in the opposite direction to make sure nothing's popping and I don't have to come back with super glue. And then we'll go on to finishing the rest of the frets off, rocking the frets and everything else. But the most important thing you could take away from this is if this fretboard has got the correct radius going in, you shouldn't have to do a level and dress at the end of it. Just that simple. If the foundation's straight, the walls are straight. Hey everybody, this is another part on the Ibanez SDGR neck. Now I put all the frets in, I pressed the frets in, I did my quarter turn one way and the half turn this morning early, and I made sure all the frets were seated. Then I went and took my Stumac, or my guitars, fret rocker, and rocked all the frets. And something came up which is a great learning point, and that was when I got to the first fret, it appeared that the second fret was high. Now, if you can guess, it wasn't that the second fret was high. It was that when I adjusted the truss rod, because this is now a two-way truss rod on here, I set it to a little bit of back bow and not actually the neutral position. So I brought it back to neutral and I put the rocker on it and we got nothing. Now I did do a light fret level and dress on this. And I know I harp all the time, if the fretboard is radius and the foundation is good, then you shouldn't have to do it. I did not build this neck. I did not build the fretboard. I glued it back together. I thought there were a couple of little spots that needed addressing, so I did a very light fret level and dress. You know, there's not a ton of material that I'm taking off these frets. So after I did that, I recrowned the frets, and now I'm going to go ahead and sand those out, and then I'm going to get my buffing wheel out and compound polish them, and I'll check the frets again with my fret rocker, just in case I heat a fret up with that buffing wheel. And we'll be back and I'll show you the guitar before it's getting ready to go home to Minnesota. All right, later. Guitar works. Remember this guy. Well, now we've got the true oil on the back of the neck. We've got the frets done. And you can see I've got the tape on where I glued the nut on, and the nut is there. And we've got the Philip McKnight test. Thank you, Phil, for showing this stuff to everybody on the internet. And I've got my girlfriend to go out and buy a bunch of these things. And let's see what we got. And I can feel a little drag down there at that end where the heel is. But basically, I don't see where I have anything on there. I thought it was dragging a little bit. All right. Okay, so I got to go on this one. Yay, and you should too. Because when you do the end of your frets, that's where you take the most time out of the fret job and the most attention to detail to get everything done correctly so you can play the guitar comfortably. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, you drive for show in golf, but you putt for dough. Well, it's the same thing. You want to get the edges of these frets right. You want to get everything nice and level. And this one is ready to go back home. I don't see anything coming up. I have one more coat of true oil to put on the back, and that's what he requested. And once that's on and dry, tomorrow morning this is going to get boxed up and it's going to be on its way back to Rick Raleigh in Minnesota. And I hope it lays down nice and straight for him and he can play his Ibanez SDGR 805 again. So this is the end of this video from this one. We're going to say goodbye to the 805 neck. It's been here a little bit, but we had a lot to do on it and had a lot of fun working on it. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button,